So, peace and blessing. Welcome to Spring Into Mindfulness, an introduction to mindfulness meditation. Thank you for choosing to be on another Zoom of the ubiquitous Zooms that seem to be part of our lived experience these days. I know I'm a good teacher if I can convince you to sit in front of your computer at 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? So, I want to thank you for allowing me to teach what I want to teach. So, again, Ashton, I only want to teach what people want to learn. Like, I'm not the teacher's like, hey, join this thing. If I'm too busy living my life to want to court people, it's like either you about it or you ain't. Like that's about as black and beautiful as I am with that. So thank y'all for being about it. Thank y'all for being curious about what mindfulness is. Hailing, I'll put you on lovingly put you on the spot. Like I taught a beautiful experience of black male healing a couple weeks ago at Kripalu called Permission and Refuge. So Permission and Refuge began as a flippant comment. When someone asked me what I wanted to do at Kripalu, I was like, I want to heal black men with white people's money. I said it just like that. And it has now blossomed into a program that has helped heal up to 75 brothers from age 23 to 83 intergenerationally. And one of the beautiful things about that program is that we're just honest. You know what I mean? Like, black men specifically in these United States are under attack, and we rarely have opportunities to be who we are. We don't even know who we are sometimes, so we ain't got the space to explore it and the safety to eat. So anyway, Permission and Refuge gives people permission to be what they need to be, and the safety to explore what you need to explore. It could be a good nap. It could be a hike in the mountains. It could be a deep conversation about who knows. But we had a conversation about mindfulness during that retreat weekend, and there's just so much bullshit out there, y'all, about mindfulness. Mindfulness is a technique to improve performance. I promise you that the Buddha didn't give a shit about your consulting or coaching practice. You know what I mean? I have that on pretty good authority, right? You know, or I'll go out on a ledge for that. So mindfulness, and we'll explore this over the next few weeks, is simply an opportunity for you to take a pause and then take stock of what's happening in front of you, right? Without reacting, without projecting into the future, without going into the past. It's about like, okay, this is happening. Now what? Again and again and again. And it seems weird at first, but I'm going to teach this class specifically through the lens of my stroke recovery, which has been the deepest mindfulness practice of my life, right? But we'll go into that over the course of today and over the course of the next 4 weeks. So what I'd love for you all to do is offer a praise report and a WTF question mark. So that's something good in your life and something you're like, are you fucking serious, right? So like a praise report and a WTF question mark. You can either use your words or you can put it in the chat. All are welcome. Praise report and WTF. So my praise report is that my dad turned 75 yesterday, and we had a huge party for him this weekend where my 98-year-old grandmother was there. It was just like old times, except everyone's older. You know, it's just wild. So that everyone is still sound body, sound mind, and we had like 45 black people in my dad's house. That's a lot, right? So dad turned 75. That's my praise report. My WTF is that I had a nightmare on Saturday of my stroke. Woo, that sucked. Like 1,000,000%. However, mindfulness has been key throughout that. So my WTF is that I've been shaking off the trauma of having a nightmare of being in a CT scan and unable to move my left leg, right? So like that is what I'm carrying. And I mentioned that praise and WTF because mindfulness gives you the capacity to hold space for the joy and the sorrow. One is not better than the other. They both are. Miela.
Um, I'll go right in because I can piggyback off what you just said. I'm planning a party for my aunt's 80th birthday. Everybody's really excited about it, and it's cool. She's a really cool lady. Um, she's a revolutionary still at 80. And
Solidarity.
yeah, and so the WTF is that I went out for dinner on her actual birthday on Monday, and she shared with me that she had been raped and never told a single person her entire life. That was the first time. And the way she said it was like it was her fault. And so that conversation was really intense, and it ended up triggering the shit out of me. I was so upset for her. So that was my WTF. So it
Yeah,
was like really high and low with the same aunt.
right. Well, peace be with her on her birthday, and that I'm happy that she can give voice to something she's been carrying.
Yeah, I hope she lets go of that shame. It was her sister's husband who did it, and so that's what she was carrying. So hopefully for her 80th birthday, she lets it go.
May it be so. What's
Yeah,
your aunt's name?
Lydia.
Peace to Lydia.
Mm.
Thank you,
Mm.
Angela.
Thanks. I'm on my phone, so figure my praise. I'm actually in New York. I'm actually in Brooklyn. If you can see Reggie, I love you so much. I'm in Brooklyn. Like there's the Brooklyn. You can't really see it because it's raining. I'm right by the Brooklyn Bridge for a conference. I went to a lunch today with 60 women in the investment world. I'll tell you about mentorship and helping each other. And I still have this belief that finance has to exist in society and we still owe each other just everything that you need to live in society, like clean air and water. And but like it was really cool. My WTF, I found out this weekend that one of my cousins was involuntarily committed to mental, which I think he had undiagnosed mental health. And the poor guy, he should know. It's been a whole drama. Like he grew up fundamentalist. He came out as gay at 50. He had gone to conversion. His parents sent him to conversion therapy
Mhm.
in the 90s. And actually his sister is also gay.
Okay,
Although she's a Trumper, which is a whole other,
you told me
but then
about.
it just like brought up lots of things. Like he seems like he's doing better, but like because I lost my younger brother to suicide last year, and
Right.
part of me was just like, what the heck? Like he gets all these chances, like all these different chances. My brother, like, of course, none of us knew, and it just like, and I can't blame my cousin. I'm glad that he's got the help that he needed, but it did bring up like things that
Right.
I wish my brother had gotten the help that he needed, and it just, it's not fair. Out like in a way, I was angry with him, but I know it's. I'm glad he got the help he needed, but I had to take a step for myself and like take a breath and like, okay, I need to deal with my own grief and my anger and
Yeah, and so I love that both you and Mila just dove right into the deep end of the
yeah,
pool because that's what that's what we're dealing with
yeah,
now in life, y'all.
yeah,
Like that is what's
yeah.
happening on the planet. And everyone wants to be, I'm fine. How in the fuck is that possible? Like, how are you fine? For real? I'm super practiced and almost died and I'm still fucked up. You know what I mean? So like that we have the tools to deal with life as it is, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to compartmentalize this. Listen, I
Yeah.
don't disparage compartmentalization because sometimes you need to take a break and titrate
Hmm.
and you can't take everything on. However,
Yeah.
you also cannot ignore so the feelings that you just articulated are super real. Um,
Hmm.
the feeling that I have from my nightmare, I'll just be honest like that. Like when I spent 2017 to 2021, y'all know this. For those of you that don't know, like fighting whoever is the president now, I will not speak the devil's name. Like um, so when I had my nightmare about my stroke, I was like, I didn't survive death to deal with this shit. And I was pretty pissed. I was viscerally angry. And then I
Mhm.
was like, yo, I can't be angry. You just had a stroke. You know what I mean? So there are all of these things that come
Yeah.
up.
Mhm.
And if we don't deal with them, we bring sickness upon ourselves. We bring toxicity into our relationships. We bring
Mhm.
a clouded filter to the heart and the mind that often, when we live in a fog, we sometimes miss beautiful things right in front of us. And that's not to the
Yeah.
detriment of you're not saying that the bad doesn't exist, but our culture tends to elevate the bad and ignore the good. And mindfulness
Yeah.
gives you the tools to see both equally.
Mhm.
So thank you. Anyone else care? So I'll read some of these from the chat. Lisa, praise reports. Just spent significant time with dear friends who have known me for 30 years. Hell yeah. What a blessing. Sunshine is a big deal because I live in Michigan. Absolutely. The bigger deal, of course, is an opportunity, warm bath of love and friendship for a few days. Absolutely. WTF. Yeah, I know too many people who are sick with cancer. The amount of people, Lisa, that I've heard recently that have or are dealing with stroke that are in their late 40s, early 50s. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Susan, praise report. It's raining here in Southern California and the hills are turning green. What a year. Right, for Southern California. WTF, the 25th anniversary of my mom's transition is next month, and I will cross the threshold. Yeah, more without her than with. So, grief, peace, and blessing on your mom. Thank you for sharing that. And mindfulness also gives us I mean, so caught up in my nightmare was also tremendous grief. I could face the grief because I'm like, oh, hi, grief, how are you again? As opposed to, I'm fine. You know, everyone that was at my dad's party, people are like, you don't seem like yourself. I'm like, I had a nightmare last night. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to fuck up the party. But no, I'm not okay. You know, but to say it like that as opposed to wasting energy, I'm okay. I'm not. I'm going to hang in the basement, like away from y'all so as not to infect you. But, you know, like just to be aware of those things. Hailing, praise report. My physical health is more robust. Great work, man. Than it's been in years. WTF? Yeah, life in the occupied territory of Washington, D.C. continues to be destabilizing. Been thinking about how I might thrive. Yo, get to the studio and play with these gongs, man.
Hey, next week, man.
Yeah, I mean, music is the only way that I've been able to like process the entirety of life, right? So,
Right on.
anyone else? Ashton, hey, and
Hey.
Puppy's face, hello,
Yes, we got the dogs to say hello to everyone.
hello.
So sorry, I just got back from driving from Denver to Tucson, so I was connecting to the audio and everything, but it's nice to see some familiar faces. And thank you so much again, Reggie. Deep gratitude for this offering. You know, I've been waiting. So from past groups, as a reminder, I'm typically the one to not share, so I'm continuing to push myself past those previous boundaries. So the praise report is I've been on the road for 2 months, and typically when I travel, a lot of work, a lot of family mixed in, it kind of throws me off balance. And my praise report is this time I was able to not just maintain that balance, but create a really deep focus for myself with thank you with my work and the things that I'm doing. And interestingly enough, it ties into the what the fuck because mine is as someone who is perpetually optimistic, I'm really finding myself for the first time feeling utterly hopeless
Mm,
about the current state of affairs. And so I'm just in that, like for the way you describe mindfulness, is that for me, just showing up really honestly and raw with where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And it's really changed a lot of my perspective on things currently, of course.
right.
But it ties back to the praise report because that's where the deep focus is coming from. Amidst all this hopelessness, I'm able to dig deeper into, thank you, Mila. Am I saying that right, Mila? Um, I'm able to dig deeper into the work that I'm doing, like with the nonprofit for marginalized communities that I was telling you about with
Yeah,
Yumi,
totally.
like digging into this mindfulness course with you. So I don't have the like, well, you know what? Here's the positive. I don't have that this time. I'm just in it. But that's at least allowing me to get deeper in my mindfulness practice and deeper into the work that I'm doing and let that be the light right now.
Right. And I would submit that like that you have that awareness is the point.
Yeah.
Like, that is the light.
Yeah.
Like to know and be okay that you're going through the dark is light. You
Yeah.
know, Mick mindfulness is, oh, everything's awesome. Let's just sit here and hold our breath. No,
That
no,
bypassy shit, I can't.
no.
I
Uh-uh.
cannot.
Uh-uh. And I know this from, like I said, the context of my stroke recovery. Like the only reason that you all are bearing witness to this miracle is because we got intimate. Right? Like I got into like my capillaries, you know what I mean? My diet, like all these things. Like I got in there and had a couple breakdowns and like but just dealt with it because you got to go through it.
Yeah.
What we're going through now, the reason that it is so enormous individually and collectively is because for years people have been like this,
Yep.
right? So in the advent of the culmination of a series of mindlessness for decades, centuries, how powerful is mindfulness,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah.
So thank you for your share. Great to see you. And again, way to see again, you speaking what you needed allowed 12 other people to have an opportunity.
Mm.
Yeah, because, yeah. So feel
Thank you.
that. Like, allow that to fortify the growing roots of self expression.
Mm. Thank you so much for that, Reggie. And that's truly an honor. I'm so grateful.
Absolutely. So now that we've shared and we're in this raw, loving space, right? Hailing, this is not that dissimilar from a couple weekends ago. We had a weekend retreat. We went there like that. Like, so now that we're here, let's stay here, right? Meaning, close the eyes and just allow the body to make movements to shake off the day. So that may be shoulder shrugs, that may be some sways, that may be jumping up and screaming. But whatever is organic to you to become present to what the body needs to tell you. We have shared from the heart the joy and the sorrows to remind us that none of us are alone. Even those that didn't share, they listened. Active listening is an act of kindness. So 10 more seconds giving the body what it needs. Then bringing palms together with a clap, friction in the palms, focus the mind on the hands moving and the sound it makes. Feel the heat emerging from the friction in the hands. And then even in this moment, practicing mindfulness of the body, place heated hands where the body is asking. If you're good, send it to the universe. If the body is requesting something, give it to yourself. Once more, clap, friction. Being mindful that friction, we've got to go through the hard stuff. It is the year of the snake. We got some shit to shed. Right, so friction in the palms. Softening the eyes, take heated hands to the heart, because to want to study how to open your heart and mind is a love practice. In a time of cruelty and chaos, love and peace are supreme. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. One more time. Clap. Devil be gone. Friction in the palms. Again, focusing the mind on the hands, the sound, the heat, having a multisensory experience from this own percussion. Then if you have glasses on, the invitation is to take off the glasses and place heated hands on your face. Jaws, forehead, temples, get in there. Allowing hands to slide down the face, placing one hand on the heart, one hand on the abdomen. Eyes soft or closed, whatever you're most comfortable with. And drink in the feeling that you have now. After having paid attention to a praise report and a sorrow, not just of yourself, but of other people. After having turned senses inward to give the body what it needs. And after having made a commitment to invest in your wisdom and your healing. Because again, in a time of mindlessness, which has been the norm, feel the power of mindfulness, especially in community. Inhale through the nose, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Exhale out the mouth, release the hands from the body. Let's sit in silence for a minute. And just be present with what's there for you energetically. If there's been a shift in your energy, notice that. But don't worry about what hasn't happened yet. Don't worry about what already happened. Be here now. Feel the power of being here now. Placing hands before the heart. Bowing head towards hands. And when ready, please release the meditation. Thank you. So, thank you all for being here in this class, in this moment. I want to just offer a few thoughts as table setting, and then we'll dive right in. So, I gave you all some homework. We'll get into that in a minute. But I just want to offer a few acknowledgments. I acknowledge the land that I'm on, the unceded territory of the Piscataway Indians, Anne Arundel County, Maryland, and connecting to the full history where I am, as opposed to the sanitized history that's on display, right? So accepting and expressing the genocide. And I, as a descendant of enslaved humans, I cannot escape the legacy of bondage and liberation in my own veins, right? So I also acknowledge the lineage of Black liberation that is a key part of my philosophy and pedagogy. I started practicing yoga and meditation not as a social club to talk shit about other people. I started practicing yoga and meditation because I was trying not to smack the shit out of my boss. Like it was like incessant microaggressions, and I was here when in one of these meetings I was like, "Yo, that is the worst." Like, what are you doing? Like you are not even a violent guy. Like, what are you talking about? So, yoga and meditation gave me the space and the compassion to hold these people who were treating me in kindness, and then hold myself in kindness at the same time. So that comes from being in a lineage of people who've never been given the benefit of the doubt, but have always been able to make miracles out of shitty circumstances. So I offer respect to the lineage of Black liberation. I also acknowledge the lineage of the Thai forest tradition and mindfulness of which I'm trained, as shared by Jack Kornfield and Tyra Brock through the Mindfulness Meditation Certification Program. I also acknowledge the lineage of Thich Nhat Hanh, one of my teachers in Zen Buddhist lineage, through Roshi Joan Halifax. So I'm not just coming at this stuff from reading a book, right? I'm coming at this stuff from different ways. And I also just want to say, my aspiration is to offer you simple techniques from a compassionate place, rooted in deep wisdom, to increase peace of mind and reduce suffering in your life right now. That's all I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? So, with that, what is mindfulness? Wow. If I'm being honest, it's kind of a mouthful, right? And my journey is surely a work in progress. But like I said, I want to speak about my mindfulness journey from the context of the stroke, and then in the context of some other academic pursuits. So, again, stroke recovery has been the deepest mindfulness practice of my life. When I had the stroke, I immediately knew what was happening because of my connection to my body. And that connection to my body gave me the wisdom, this is not okay. Like, alert, alert. Like, we are not okay right now. And that mindfulness also, before me and my girlfriend left my hotel room, allowed me to pick up a sound bowl before we left the place. And my girlfriend's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I gotta get right." You know what I mean? Like, I'm headed into hell. And so I just started playing because I knew that I had to raise my vibration in order to encounter the ridiculous. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know I was going to be paralyzed or whatever, but I immediately knew that I had to like level up quickly. Mindfulness knew that. So I'll go through this whole experience of paralysis, blood pressure shoots up to 245 over 160. And I saw in that state where everything is elevated, I mindfully saw the ER doctor go like this. This guy sees death all the time. And so if he is surprised by something and he's looking at me, mindfulness is just like, okay, Yogi, say a prayer, figure some shit out. You know what I mean? Like, now is the time. And so was able to be there, go through that experience, stabilize the entire time I was moving my feet and legs. Then I went into a CT scan, legs stopped working, and try not to crash emotionally, right? Because I'm still in very stable and very serious condition. And so stabilize, Mr. Hubbard, you've had a stroke, all these other things. And they put me in a bed that was very small. Because I'm huge. If you've never met me, like I'm 6'2", like 280. I'm a big dude. And I wanted to be in the small bed because I lost motor function, but I had sensory function. And so I knew that if I could feel my foot in the bed, then I could rest. So I couldn't move it. It wasn't moving. That shit was gone. Like those nerves were dead. But if I could feel it, then that would give me peace. Mindfulness gave me that. Right? And so make it from South Carolina to Washington, D.C. through my beloved Alexis interstate ambulatory service. Like she's driving like a bat out of hell, and I'm in like the deepest meditation ever. Because she's like, "What happens if something goes wrong?" I was like, "I'm about to touch the sky, right? So you do what you need to do, and I've got to go in." And I was in inpatient rehab for like 4.5 days. Typical stay is 12. And when I got discharged, Dr. Lynn, I was like, "It's okay, doc. So what's my homework?" She looked at me and was like, "Reggie, you're a mindfulness teacher. You know what your homework is." I laughed at her. I was just like, "That's the easiest that's the easiest prescription of discharge you've ever given somebody, huh?" Right? So we were able to joke back and forth about that. But and I was kind of pissed at first, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, what the hell is that? But then I was like, okay, you get it, right? So what that said to me was that you are in for a ridiculous ride. And as you approach each turn of the ride, pay attention to what's working, pay attention to what's not working, make a decision toward what's working. And that's been the whole of my stroke recovery, right? So to be able to know in my body that while I cannot move the foot, if I surround myself in vibration and deep meditation, that I can impact my neuroplasticity. That came from like deep study and deep self-reflection. To one day notice a twitch in my foot and to realize, oh my God, I think it's working again. So to be so connected to the recovery of my body that it went like this. And I lost my shit. I was like, ah! Because for months it was just like, move your foot. It went like this. Oh my God. That was like the catapult to like the next phase, you know what I mean? And so noticing those little things and being able to celebrate those little things while also acknowledging the enormity of a stroke, a hypertensive diagnosis, a diabetic diagnosis, paralysis, upset of I'm an independent contractor, you know what I mean? Like the upset of my business, right? Like, so managing all of those things and not losing my shit, right? To hold space for deep grief and sorrow and also unmitigated joy. Like recently, this is kind of whatever. I can play footsie with my girlfriend again now. And that's like our little joke because I couldn't move my foot. You know what I mean? So one day I just like put my foot on top of hers and she was just like, ah, I'm like, right, right, right. So that we can have a chuckle about footsie, right? That's like a high school game, but because I couldn't move my foot and not, I mean, so all of these things are indicative of the mindfulness prescription that my neurologist gave me, right? And I'll stop there and I want to hear from you well, I asked you to think, well, what is mindfulness and what are you looking for in this course? Like, if you care to either put it in the chat or want to put words to it, let's make space for that now. So either using your words or in the chat, what is mindfulness to you? And you can totally repeat what I just said.
Hi, Reggie. Can I speak?
Yeah, Kathleen, hey, please. Yeah,
Hi, how are you?
good.
It's nice to see you all. Thank you very much for doing this tonight.
Absolutely. Good to have
I
you.
wasn't actually going to say anything. I was thinking about your question earlier today, but now I
Mm.
am going to say something. And I'm doing a course on polyvagal theory right now, and it's not
Cool.
exactly self-regulation, but well, sorry, that's what I wanted to talk about was self-regulation. For me at this particular moment, it's having the, well, they call it neuroception, but I would say interoception
Totally.
of the physical sensations that make us want to react. And so what I'm working on, well, I've been working on this for many years, is like the pause and how my behavior is affecting another person's behavior and how our relationship can be improved. So that for me, mindfulness is self-regulation and the focus on connection and relationship.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for saying something. Like that's a pretty profound thing to keep to yourself.
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret.
Everybody knows.
You sure about that?
Well, not everybody.
Okay.
Not everybody knows.
I was just like,
And
thank you.
actually,
Go ahead.
can I just say, I really did not want to say the T word because you people that are in the DMV, I live in Mexico and I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
But
You don't have to say the
today
T word.
you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Today I was reading a quick story in the New York Times just talking about just the volatility of Trump and the decisions he's making, how it's going to affect the long terms, like just the stability of international relationships. And I look at it as a metaphor between any kind of relationship. Like when you're involved with a volatile person, like we need to know what's going to happen in relationships to have calm. And we do not have global calm at the moment. I mean, I feel for you Americans and you guys that are in the DMV, I can escape it here in Mexico, but it's still going to have an effect on us. And we have investments. And I don't want to get into this now, but now
Just,
that's why
just,
I wasn't going to talk.
just pray for us, right? Right. Just
That's the biggest what the fuck at all times.
absolutely. Just pray for us because it sucks here, man.
I am. Okay. I'm going to mute myself now.
Cool.
Thank you.
Susan, thank you. For me, mindfulness, return to the present moment, returning to the breath, returning home to my heart, and holding space for the dichotomy. Susan, that is the truth, right? So the praise report and the WTF is illustrative of this, right? So to hold space for the joy and the sorrow. Like mindfulness cultivates the capacity to hold space for life, not like life or life. Just sometimes life be life in. Lisa, I participated in previous mindfulness class of yours. Feels like I need more. Right? And Lisa, it's the reason why I offered this way is that like being in consistent practice is how the muscles are manifested, right? Like so, like the reason that when my life went hard right, like I could be present because I was in practice. And so when life went sideways, the only place I could turn was to the thing that I had turned to all the time. Right? So cultivating connection to this deep wisdom, which is thousands of years old. Right? So in times of chaos, like reaching and connecting to ancient sources of proven wisdom is the superpower. Hailing, I consider mindfulness to be a practice of detachment that creates an openness and a focus of one's mind, body, and spirit. Right. And just to uplift, and I know you don't mean this, but you know, sometimes in McMind, we talked about this in Massachusetts, in mindfulness classes, people think of detachment as not caring.
Mhm.
That's not detachment. Detachment is bearing witness without attachment to the results. Right? You can't control how things happen. You bear witness to them happening and adjust your response based on to what's happening. I want this to go this way. Yeah, when I was laying on the floor, my leg didn't work. I sure wanted to not deal. I don't want to deal with this. Yeah, my girlfriend, bless her heart, she was like, "You want to go to the doctor?" I was like, "No," but we gotta. Right. So that capacity to hold space for wise, in Buddhist parlance, it's wise action. Right. So wise action especially in times of intentional chaos. That's why mindfulness is so powerful. So thank you all for sharing. I asked a dear friend who is basically the reason how, when she once told me, Reggie, I think you should practice yoga because you're an angry black man. So I told her to shut the fuck up and mind her business. Then started practicing yoga and called her, was just like, why'd you say it to me like that? You know what I mean? If you had said because I don't think it'll help your nervous system, like, anyway. So I asked her what what her definition of mindfulness would be. And because she's from the Midwest and is more plain spoken, she said, mindfulness is the state of being which enables me to meet myself where I am physically, mentally, and emotionally. Right? And to me, mindfulness is a journey that begins with the invitation to pause, discover the innate dignity that exists beneath all notions of who you are and how you should act. Mindfulness cuts through the shoulds and reveals to you the truth of the moment so you can discern wise action. We can see who we are outside of the story we tell ourselves. We see what is possible, like Kathleen talked about, when we become more aware of our thoughts, actions, habits, and patterns and regulate ourselves. And remember that we have the power to do so. And harnessing that power gives us tremendous agency. In a culture that has abdicated its agency, mindfulness allows you to reclaim it. And we see what's possible when we soften the edges of critique and begin to regard ourselves with more curiosity and compassion. Yeah, I'll repeat that. So we see mindfulness is the journey. What did I say? Hold on. We begin to soften the edges of critique and begin to regard ourselves with our innate dignity with more curiosity and compassion. So because you are a living being in this moment, it's the inherent divinity that bypass people always uplift and when they run away from the shadow. You know what I mean? So, oh, I'm love and light. Yeah, but you're afraid of the dark. So like when your light meets the dark, like the darkness overwhelms it. Whereas like when you go through darkness, darkness empowers you to shine your light. You know? And I took Jack Kornfield and Tara Brock's training in addition to like other teachers that I've shared. And presence, the quality of presence that mindfulness talks about is the synthesis of two things. One, the first is awareness. And some of you have heard me talk about the difference between attention and awareness. This is where that comes from. So awareness is a clear seeing of what is present here and now. So mindfulness and the power of presence is awareness and loving kindness. They talk about it being wings of the bird of mindfulness. Loving kindness is loving presence, not judging or trying to manipulate or evaluate, but loving care that gives birth to a wise response. And don't worry about these. I'll send you all my notes because like the stroke taught me I can't take shit with me. So here, right. So I give freely. Generosity by awareness of mortality. So to unpack this a bit, awareness is the faculty of mind and spiritual consciousness that allows ourselves to view ourselves as object as opposed to subject. So awareness is like, oh, this is happening, as opposed to, why is this happening to me? You sense that frame shift? I am aware this is happening is altogether different than why is this happening to me? and the ability to compassionately question whether what we see or feel is going on, right? So, are you overreacting? Is what you see really happening? Or did you see something and it triggered something and that's coming back? Right? So we often project, or we make shit up, or we relive past trauma, which is it's the human experience, right? The other thing that I have against like the Mick mindfulness and the Mick yoga world is that we're imperfect, right? And our imperfection is what makes us perfect. Like the fact that you make mistakes and can learn from them is great wisdom. The fact that you can shift your awareness and gain tools of agency is what allows you to have like a magical experience in your humanity, as opposed to being spoon-fed lies. Like you can access the truth and live that truth. So when we notice the stories we may be telling ourselves, and we hold that in loving kindness. So when I was having the stroke and I was just like, of course you're freaking out, man. The doctor just told you that you have hypertension and this, and you can't walk and all these things. Of course you're freaking out. So I gave myself grace, even in the lowest moment. And we're more able to consider an appropriate response as opposed to rooted in the stories of past or unsubstantiated projections of the future. I'll give you an example. So once I stabilized, I reached out to one of my teachers and I asked him, I was like, so you got any chance for this? You know what I mean? I'm in a hospital, can't walk, need to access like divine consciousness. You got anything? He was like, yeah, I can tell you a couple things, but you need to connect with and love your stroke and see it as your teacher. So I used my mindfulness practice to learn from the stroke. Oh, you're telling me I need to slow down because I can't walk and I have no energy and I'm in damn South Carolina. Noted. So what do right, Mia? Like noted. Okay, I need to sit my ass down. I mean, I guess I wasn't listening to something, but like, what loving thing can you now do to get yourself one step closer to recovery? What loving thing can you now do? So of course you're upset, all these other things. So what can you do now that allows yourself to love yourself and love this experience, soften into the experience and harvest the wisdom? So, or as Jack Kornfield eloquently states, mindfulness could be called the art of living. To be present for your life, not lost in the fantasies of the future or the reruns of the past, but to actually be fully where you are. By training this capacity of presence, you can calm and quiet the mind, open the heart, learn to see and work with different energies in your life, and then be able to respond wisely. We have ubiquitous examples of poor responses right now. There's no one responding from wisdom. There's no one, like all these fucking hot takes. Like, how about cool wisdom? Fuck hot takes, right? Like some cool wisdom rooted in agency and experience and loving kindness, right? Like, what about that? So, this, and I'll pause here before we go into deeper practice and questioning. This dance between refining the presence and loving kindness, the give and take between the two, is the journey of mindfulness. So that's why mindfulness to me is a verb. It is not a noun. Mick mindfulness is a noun. Like to hold space for joy and sorrow, to hold space for bearing witness to yourself as object, to hold space for cultivating the capacity to discern wise action. That is a verb. So I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions or comments? Reading what you said, Miela. If you know how you're feeling, regardless of what it is, even if it's fierce or despairing, right? You have to take care of you, right? Especially if you wildly upset, right? Like, so to gain that power is necessary. You're immediately less safe on an energetic level, right? So pausing. Anyone have any questions or comments or thoughts? Going once. Go. Kathleen, yep.
I have a comment that I wanted to mention. I don't know if it's going to be 100% relevant, but just to do with the stroke. Have you read Jill Bolte Taylor's book, My Stroke of Genius?
Absolutely, yep.
So I don't know if she talked, I read this so many years ago, but she talked on Oprah's Soul series. She went more into depth about the experience because I know the TED Talk was like that was in the early days of TED Talks. It's like she got millions of
Totally.
views.
Yep.
It was like a Cat Williams interview.
Nice.
But anyway,
You're funny, right?
but that was so one thing that really stood out to me with when she was in the hospital was the doctors would come in and just open the drapes and bring the students by without even though she wasn't verbal at the time.
Right.
And then she had a friend that would come in and just hold her toe and say and quietly say, I'm gonna cry, but Jill, we're here. Is it okay? Like just the littlest, keep it down, keep it quiet, be gentle with people where our brain is injured. We need to be quiet. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah,
We need low stimulus. We need low stimulus.
it's
I like to be understimulated. Sorry. Now I'm gonna understimulate myself.
so it is analogous because I think what you just offered is how we need to approach everybody on the planet right now. Slow. Like that's like a collective mindfulness practice. Like everybody's going through some shit, right? It may be the most where I'm at, but like since we're creatures of vibration, there's such a like cacophonous vibration right now. Everyone's like this. So it's totally analogous. Like the mindfulness practice we can practice with one another is like, hey, you doing okay? It's okay to say no, right? You know what I mean? As opposed to like there's no, we can't do none of that, right? So that's perfectly, I mean, to some extent we have had a global stroke. I can say that with like veracity, you know what I mean? Everything's kind of like right? So we have frazzled nerves and everything's disrupted. That is pretty much point blank a stroke. And so like societally, like coming in with not only that energy, but the awareness that maybe me screaming at the top of my lungs, or maybe me off, like I said, offering a hot take as opposed to cool wisdom, like what is that even doing? If it's adding to the fire, you know. Okay, so let us. I'll offer one more analogy, and then we'll go into a mindfulness of the body practice. So when I was driving back from when I first taught this course, I was driving back from somewhere, and it was a yellow light, and I had the impulse to hit the accelerator. I'm not stopping for this light, but for me, the following analogy about mindfulness occurred to me. The light turned yellow, and I was like, maybe I need to take a pause. What am I rushing for? So that yellow light, I paused, chilled out. Then when it was green, I was like, okay, I'm back to where I was going, as opposed to, fuck this, I'm going there. Like where? And why so fast? Right? We have acculturated ourselves into thinking we have to be somewhere, like everything has to be accounted for, all those other things. Says who? And at what cost? Right? The mindlessness of whether it be consumption through the phone, or talking. Like, there's a lot of mindless chatter these days, right? Like, that's not helping anyone, right? So the the practice of mindfulness offers the following. The more you do it, it becomes more attainable, right? You're more connected to the body. You can cultivate the capacity for a peaceful encounter of a stressful situation. And you can hold anxiety and confusion with compassion and care, right? So, one question, I'll give this to you all as homework. So I'll stop there, pause for questions, comments, then we'll just go into a mindfulness of the body practice. But that's the foundation of mindfulness. We're going to talk about mindfulness of the body through this practice. Then it'll be thought of breath, thoughts, and emotions. So that'll be the sequence of the weeks. Going once, twice, seen. So now I encourage you to find a posture in your environment that brings comfort. Adjust your light, adjust your body, adjust anything that could be distressing. If you need to move the body again, please do so. I was trained by people who didn't teach mindfulness of the body with movement. I think that's ridiculous. Like, mindfulness of the body, but stay still. What? So before we have mindfulness of the body, connect with the body. Give yourself 10 seconds of cursory overview. Maybe you place one hand on heart, one hand on abdomen to be more connected to the corpus, the body. And as we settle into meditation practice, mindfulness of the body, first of all, collective gratitude for the wisdom that exists in this thing that is our most intimate partner, the vessel through which spirit does work, and all of the stimulus that this thing receives. Our bodies pick up on things that we aren't even aware of. So give gratitude for the body and the wisdom that is in it. Give grace for the scars that are upon it. Give love and gratitude that you are still in it. And from this place of gratitude, love, compassion, and acceptance, notice if there's any tension around the head and the face. Maybe you touch your face, maybe you just use the mind's eye to focus on the face. But how might you soften the tension that you are aware of in the face? Do you open and close the jaw? Do you go like this? Which A, sounds ridiculous, but it also softens the tongue and the underside of the throat. But turning your attention to the face, head, and jaw, how might you use your breath or some gentle movement to soften? allowing tension in the eyes to soften. Back of the head. Then shifting this awareness, viewing yourself as object as opposed to subject, to the neck, throat, and shoulders. So maybe you shrug the shoulders, maybe you clear the throat. For my yoga practitioners, maybe you constrict the back of the throat on the breath. But using this power of awareness and the tool of loving kindness, what gesture, energetic or somatic, can you offer to the throat, neck, and shoulders for them to soften? Is it a gentle yes and no of the head? Is it a gentle neck roll? Is it nothing? Then allowing awareness to go from throat, neck, and shoulders to hands. Maybe you open and close the palms here. Maybe you rub fingertips on each other, but just come to an awareness and appreciation of the hands. And allow any tension in the hands to be released with gratitude for the amount of technology that we use these things on. Ashton's pet heard me say hands and got into petting position. That is beautiful. But how might the hands soften? Maybe you offer love to your pet. Maybe you offer love to yourself. The hands are an extension of the heart, so bring your awareness to the heart region, front and back. We think of the heart only from the front. So is there tension in the back body? Might a deeper breath in through the nose expand the back body? Maybe a gentle wiggle. The heart region, how might you soften here? Again, combining the power of awareness of this region, focused attention on this region, and compassionate, wise action to alleviate tension in this region. With gratitude for the circulatory system, with gratitude for the blood vessels, with gratitude for all of the things that the heart impacts. Heart and the brain are bosom buddies. Allowing awareness to transition from the heart region, front and back, to abdominal region, front and back. So think of digestive organs, stomach, kidneys, the entire digestive, renal system. Think of the toxicity that this region purifies to keep you alive. And with gratitude for these processes that you may not know anything about, but you know they work because you would know if they didn't. How might you soften the abdomen? Maybe it's rubbing the belly, maybe it's just breathing diaphragmatically. but offering love and kindness and gratitude for a part of the body that's not protected but from anything and does so much for us. So we're very vulnerable here. So how might you allow tension in the region to soften, to ease digestion, to ease release of food waste, energy, and shifting from digestive region to glutes and legs, biggest muscle groups in the body, most underappreciated and underutilized muscles in the body. So maybe you wiggle the legs, maybe you lift the legs, maybe you do nothing, maybe you place feet flat and take knees from side to side, but allow tension in the legs and the hips to soften either through focused attention and breath or movement. As someone who learned how to walk again, I do not take my legs for granted. So give gratitude for the stability that the legs offer, the connection to the ground through the feet. And the power that exists in the legs. And then taking your awareness from bigger muscle groups to more fine muscle groups, so calf and shin and ankle and feet. Maybe you pat the toes. Again, like I said, I have a new appreciation for footsie because I couldn't move this thing. But how might tension in the feet soften? How might we offer gratitude to the thing that connects us to Pachamama, the thing that connects us to Earth? So giving gratitude for the constant connection to Earth that the feet provide, and maybe even an appreciation for that connection that we don't often have. Now releasing focused attention on the feet and just focus on the entire body again. And for the next minute or two, just rest in this cultivated place of spaciousness that we have created together by paying attention through awareness, breath, and gentle movement of the gift of the body. Of course, I had to offer something to clear the ears. Making gentle movements and awakening the body in accordance with your desires. So if you care to stay in mindful bliss, do so. But if you want to reawaken, do so with care and curiosity and playfulness. So that, my dear ones, is your mindfulness of body experience. If you have words, are there any reflections on the experience? Thumbs up, that's a good heart emoji, I'll take it. But notice how focusing our awareness on each part, bit by bit by bit, like gave you just like space and like, oh, right? Like this posture energetically is closer to who you really are than when you came to me. We've stripped away the pretense. We've focused on what the body needs. And by giving the body what it needs and then softening into what it requested, like deep relaxation, expansiveness, like this is our birthright. And in a system now that is predicated on mindlessness and contracted in this, whew, like that, I might even be able to listen to the devil right now for at least 10 seconds. Not that I would, but it just gives you the opportunity to encounter something courageously. It gives you the power to set a hard boundary. You know, I ain't doing that shit. My body doesn't like that. But by cultivating this awareness of what the body needs through intimately focusing awareness and then making loving decisions based on that awareness, that's power. So, mindful of y'all's time, I want to thank y'all for spending the past 74 minutes with me. And yeah, Lisa, you're welcome, right? This kind of energy is even more powerful than the last time I taught it. Like I said, mindlessness is the language of the realm, right? So creating opportunities for the inverse. I mean, I'm always looking to disrupt dumb shit, but like if I could disrupt dumb shit through like ancient wisdom, right? So Susan, thank you. Appreciate that. And love to all. Have a good rest. If you don't have good rest after spending time with me, I don't know what to tell you, right? Like after this mindfulness of body experience, I'll email homework. So in short, the homework is every time you catch yourself like this, do your interpretation of mindfulness of the body. If you feel yourself getting mindless, like, oh, that's right, you'll understand that you do it more than you think. But rather than view it as a chore, view it as something to play with. You know what I mean? Oh, I get a chance to become a super heroine. I get a chance to be a super being, right? So love it. My 4 dogs are crashed out too. Yes. So with that, I will bow before each of you with gratitude. Thank you for kicking off the mindfulness experience. We'll get into breath next week. But again, this week, just focus on anytime you feel tension in the body, honoring the body and giving it space. All right? Peace and love, y'all. Peace and love.